You drink tons of water every day, but something just feels off. For all that you hear about the importance of hydration, you figure you're doing everything right, and yet your performance in the gym, doing cardio in a sport, even just your overall daily energy is lacking. The reason is because water is just one component of the hydration equation. In fact, if you're just pounding water day after day without replenishing your electrolytes, you're actually compounding the problem. Not that water is bad, of course it's not, but there is something called hyperhydration. I remember being told that if you go to the bathroom and your urine is clear, that is an indication that you're hydrated. So I figured I was doing everything right. In reality, if it's clear every single time, that's not a good thing. That's actually an indication that you may be diluting the existing electrolytes in your body. So if you're not replenishing that, you're actually just compounding the problem by drinking more and more water. You want your urine to be a pale yellow color at least a couple times throughout the day. And if you're a person who sweats a lot, even worse. Speaking of sweat, here are the electrolytes that you lose when you sweat in order from the most to the least. So the most is actually kind of a tie. It's sodium and chloride, which we combine to make salt. A distant third is potassium, and an even more distant fourth is magnesium. So why is this the case? Is it just random? No. Sodium and chloride are found primarily outside the cell near the surface of the skin. So naturally, when you're sweating, it's going to grab the electrolytes closest to your skin, which is sodium and chloride. Potassium is found inside the cell, so you don't lose very much when you sweat, but it does still serve a purpose because we need this delicate balance of electrolytes in order to fuel muscle contraction. If something gets out of whack, then we could start to develop cramping issues, which is obviously not good for your performance. This is why it's important not only to replenish during exercise, but to also come into your exercise bout already hydrated. It's kind of crazy to imagine, but this can happen to the highest level athlete. You see it all the time in the NFL in September in these hot and humid climates like Jacksonville or Miami, where players will have to leave the game often during very critical moments because they are dehydrated. They'll have to go into the locker room for an IV or rehydrate on the sideline. Teams have athletic performance specialists that measure not only the concentration of their sweat, but also their sweat rate. So it's kind of crazy to think that this could happen to an athlete at this level with all these resources behind them. But I guess with the 53-man roster, this sort of thing is inevitable because you can't keep tabs on everyone, plus all of the equipment that they're wearing on top of it. Another problem are these so-called hydration drinks, which are completely devoid of salt. Why would you eliminate the two most important electrolytes, sodium and chloride, from your formulation? My opinion is that there's still a stigma around sodium intake due to its association with heart disease and high blood pressure. However, there was a study done in the New England Journal of Medicine where they looked at 100,000 people and they determined that the optimal sodium intake daily is between 3,000 and 6,000 milligrams. Anything above that was considered problematic, and ironically, anything below that was associated with negative health outcomes. So we're talking about a study on 100,000 people from 17 different countries, male and female, different age ranges, different income levels even, and it determined that between 3,000 to 6,000 milligrams per day was ideal. Of course, it's epidemiological research, but that's about as comprehensive a study as you're going to find. If you're looking for a true hydration product, it needs to contain salt. Prime is not going to work. Even coconut water is not going to work. You're going to have to add salt to it in order to get the balance of electrolytes that you need. I prefer to go with something like these Body Armor stick packs. They have 500 milligrams of sodium and 700 milligrams of potassium. That is not to be confused with these Body Armor drinks, which have no sodium at all, or it's 10 milligrams, which is virtually nothing. So even though these are made by the same company, they are not the same formulation. So make sure you get the stick packs and not the pre-made drinks. LMNT is also good. It has 1,000 milligrams of sodium and 200 milligrams of potassium. So choosing the right product is based on the structure of your diet. So the LMNT is going to have more sodium and less potassium. If you're a person that has a potassium-rich diet with a lot of potatoes, avocados, bananas, you probably want to go with that. If you're a person lacking potassium, maybe you want to go with the Body Armor. You can find these in the description below. In my opinion, it's easier to just buy one of these products rather than make your own concoction because you have to remember we're talking about micronutrients here. This is stuff measured in milligrams. So if you're taking, a salt shaker like this and you're trying to get a specific amount of milligrams, a food scale is not going to be sensitive enough to measure that properly. I hope this is helpful. If you're an active, healthy individual, please don't let the fear mongering around salt scare you. It's going to have a beneficial impact on your performance. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.